Hey, joining us now on the MARR Rock Show, I'm very excited to have Zeb Christensen back on the show. I believe the second time we've had him on the show. He is the singer for Screaming from Silence out of Omaha, Nebraska. Zeb, welcome back to the show.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Hey, it's going great, man. I'm so excited to talk to you. We're doing a recap of Rockfest. We actually had some good friends of yours from Minneapolis on the show a little earlier, Fifth Hour on the show. I know you've been on tour with those guys, and I'm glad to have you on the show.
For sure. Love those guys, man. It's been a really good tour hanging out with those guys and getting to watch them play every night.
So I want to ask you about Rockfest, but first, I got to say, man, I have not seen too many bands have, like, the kind of year you had that went from touring some of the smaller clubs to Rock on the Range, Rocklahoma, Rockfest. What has happened to make you guys explode?
It's been a great year, man. It's been a great year. You know, all of 2014 we spent touring out to the West Coast and recording the new album. And, you know, I think that's the biggest part is I think we put out an album that I think people really like, and it's kind of catching on, I feel like. And, you know, from that, we obviously got to win the Ernie Ball Battle of the Band thing to do Rock on the Range. And just this festival season has been amazing for us. And I think a little bit has to do with luck as well.
Now, I was at Rock on the Range, and I was coming from the far side over to your guys, and when I walked over and saw the wall of people, I was so happy for you guys. Tell me about the Rock on the Range experience.
It was incredible, man. Rock on the Range is definitely the best of the best. It was so funny because, you know, we saw the forecast, we knew it was going to rain. That's been the one bad thing about the festivals is we've had rain at almost every single one, except for this Rockfest. And, you know, we started to play, and we didn't really know what to expect, and people kind of kept coming up, and then it started pouring, and nobody moved. So I knew that was a really good sign. I was like, if nobody's running for cover, we're in good shape. So, man, it was just awesome. By the time the set was over, we didn't want to get off stage. It was a blast.
So, fast forward a little bit now. I didn't have the pleasure of being at Rocklahoma. I know you got rained on again there, but Rockfest, despite the rain, you were undercover at Rockfest. So give me a little of your, you know, take on Rockfest as a festival.
It was awesome, man. Set up great, and any kind of festival, man, that's loud music, you're out in the sun, you know, cold beer, it's always a blast. We just love the festival season, and anytime we get an opportunity to play one, it's always awesome.
So the self-titled album came out in January. It's a great album. I was very excited to hear it come out. So tell folks a little bit about the record, where it was produced, and that kind of stuff behind it.
We did our album out in Hollywood with a producer. His name's Eric Ron. He has a studio called Gray Area Studios, and like I said, we spent most of 2014 touring out there and kind of recording a few songs at a time while we were out there, and got to release the album. It's our first full-length debut album, so it's got a little bit of everything on there. You know, we wanted to try and change it up and show some diversity, so we did some ballads, we did some heavier stuff, you know, we did some breakdowns, guitar solos, some singing, some screaming. Just a little bit of everything in there.
Yeah, one of the songs I like the most on the album is "The King is Crowned." Now, does that song, is that somehow, am I reading into that's about you guys and your success, or does that have nothing to do with that?
Not necessarily that. It's just about, you know, working to get where you are and not taking no for an answer. You know, in this industry, you hear no so many times, and sometimes that can be defeating. So we kind of wanted to write a song about that and kind of had it, you know, geared towards that and kind of the competition of the aspect of the business, you know?
Yeah, now talking about the business, I was reflecting back on like some of the independent artists I know, and I don't know too many other independent bands who have played Rockfest, Rocklahoma, Rock on the Range, and you got Will Rock Festival coming up. How are you guys pulling that off?
Man, like I said, I think a little bit of it's luck. You know, one thing I will say is that a lot of the promoters and stuff we work with, one of the best compliments we can get as a band is they say how hard we work and how adamant we are to staying on the road and getting the product to as many people as possible. And I think some of them are really starting to notice that. And, you know, they want to reward bands like that are out there working their tails off and on the grind and touring in a van and trailer, you know?
Yeah, now I'll tell you my own take on one of the things I think really helps you guys out. I've watched and noticed you guys do this. You are really awesome to your fans. Do you think that really, that the fans, you know, your treatment of fans and not disappearing, do you think that pays you back dividends?
Absolutely. I think I think that's one thing is that we have a great fan base, and our fans are so supportive of us and everything we do, and no matter where we go, you know, it's starting to catch on where, you know, we're seeing T-shirts of ours, you know, people wearing them around the country, and it's just crazy to think about that. One thing I've been talking about on stage a lot lately is, you know, right now we're an independent band. We have no label. We have, you know, we're going to start working with a management company, but we've got to where we are because of the fans and how much they support us and stand behind us, and we can't thank them enough for that.
So for other bands that are out there trying to make it as an independent band, you know, what thing was it for you think that really maybe separates you from a couple of those other independent bands?
You know, I think like you said, the biggest thing is interacting with your fans, and, you know, it doesn't just start and stop when you're on stage, you know. After your set, we take pride in trying to be the first ones to every show and being the last ones to leave, talking to as many people as we can, and networking with promoters and, you know, keeping those relationships going with all those people, you know, and not just letting it die. I think that's one of the biggest things that fans forget sometimes.
Yeah, I've witnessed that firsthand, man. For people listening to Zeb talking, he's not just talking the talk. I've seen that firsthand with these guys. So, hey, there's two videos I want to ask you about. First, let's talk about the making of the video for The King is Crowned. Tell me about that. Where was that shot?
We did that in our hometown. That was one thing we're really proud of is, you know, we took a few years before we started touring and really built a nice fan base here in Omaha. The music scene's really well here. So we were really proud to be from here. We wanted to do something in Omaha when we were doing our first video for the album. So we actually rented out a castle here in town that's called the Jocelyn Castle. The Jocelyn's are a family from Omaha that helped start the Omaha World Herald. So it's just this giant, immaculate castle it's gorgeous inside. We knew that's where we wanted to do it as soon as we walked in there. So we got that all set up, and then we put a little thing out on Facebook about having some fans come out and you know, be in the video, and I couldn't believe how many people showed up on the day. And it was actually, there was a huge storm that rolled through town that day. I couldn't believe how many people showed up to rock out for the video, man. It was awesome.
So the other one I want to ask you about, it's such a simple concept, but I really love it, is the Cutting Ties video, because it just, you know, shows you guys, I think, on the road. I'm assuming, was that just shot from the tour bus?
Yeah, that's just from the front seat of the van. Our tour manager, Tyler, he actually put that together. You know, we talked about putting all of our music up on YouTube and trying to do something different, come up with different ideas. And, you know, that was one idea he had, and he kind of messed with it. We thought it turned out pretty cool. So, like you said, it was something very simple, but, you know, it kind of gives the feeling of what it's like to be out on the road and be away from home. And that's what that song is a ton about, too. So it just made sense, and it fit really well.
Now, favorite thing and least favorite thing about being out on the road so much?
Let's see. My favorite thing is obviously getting to visit new cities every day, man. I mean, we get to see different people and meet, you know, all sorts of awesome people who support music and love rock and roll. That is definitely the best part. I would say the worst part would be driving down the interstate when it's 100 degrees out with no air conditioning, because we've done that before. Luckily, we have air conditioning in this new one, so we don't have to deal with that as much. But
well, with the way you guys are building momentum, man, I don't think it's going to be long before you have some posh touring accommodations there. I think pretty soon for you guys.
I love to hear that, man. Thank you so much. Did you happen to catch the story about the CD player in the van?
No, tell us about it.
Our local news station actually just did a little special about us, and it aired last Sunday. And at the end of it, I jokingly told the lady, she was like, "What are your goals as a band?" And I was like, "I would just love a CD player in our band. That's it." Because for the last 3 years, all we've had is AM/FM radio. So I jokingly told her that. Well, at the end of the interview, she kind of made a funny remark about how we wanted a CD player. So the next day, we started getting hit up with all sorts of messages about people wanting to get us a CD player. And there's actually a company here in Omaha called Metro Audio Dynamics, and he sent us a message. He's like, "Bring your van in, and I will set you guys up." So those guys definitely hooked us up. They put a killer CD player and DVD player into our van. So it was, just helped us out a little bit. Just something, it's the little things that make a big difference.
As I'm listening to you tell that, I think I did see a picture of that on Facebook. I think if people go to your Facebook page, they can see a picture of it, can't they?
Yep, absolutely. You can scope it out. And he decked us out, too. He put a super nice one in there. It was awesome. It was cool to ride around in the van with something a little different than FM radio.
Yeah, so if people want to see that, go to Screaming for Silence Band on Facebook, and you can check that out. Hey, man, last thing, what's your biggest goal for the rest of 2015 and 16? Is it to continue writing music or continue the tour? What's your big goal for the band?
You know, the biggest thing is just playing in front of as many people as possible. You know, we're still trying to be out supporting the record. We've been touring super hard since January, since we released the album. We actually are taking this week and next week off, and sure enough, we got home and Casey and our guitarist sat down and he wrote some new riffs, and we're going to start working on some new music while we got a little time off. I figure why not, right?
Absolutely, man. Hey, Zeb, we're really always excited to see you guys. I look forward to seeing you back here on the East Coast. It was a pleasure running into you out in Wisconsin as well. You guys killed it out at Rockfest, so you're always
Thank
so
you,
good
man.
to us. Hey, man, we love talking to you. You're welcome on the show anytime. Zeb Christensen from Screaming for Silence. Everybody, Zeb, thanks for being on the show, man.
Man, thanks again for having me. We'll talk to you guys soon, all right?